Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode number 82 of CBD Talk Podcast. First of all, I want to tell you that we are sponsored tonight by ProVerity Health. So if you haven't listened to episode number 81 with Tony Adone, that was last week's, I highly suggest that you check it out for some amazing information. He's the founder of ProVerity Health, which is a US-based company that only uses organic ingredients while providing third-party test results to ensure quality and to also guarantee the label claim. And we talked a lot about that. Their team works tirelessly to ensure their CBD products are made ethically and with integrity. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. We talked about the way that they work with their team, and it was in the episode. And the living wages. They use the products. The whole team, the farmers. It's really a great synergy over there. So if you want to try the therapeutic benefits of CBD from a trusted brand, head over to ProVerityHealth.com. So that's PROVERDE health.com. And because they're the great guys that they are over there, they're offering you, my listeners, a 20% off discount when you use the code CBD Talk. So get 20% off with the code CBD Talk. That's one word, no spaces, at ProVerityHealth.com. All right, so tonight is going to be good. We have with us Amy Nichols from CannaMedu. Now, what they do is something that I have talked about before that excites me greatly, and that is educating medical professionals about cannabis. and we all know the frustration that goes along with literally doctors firing patients, specifically in pain clinics. And we almost had that happen with my mother in Tennessee. And we know about the lack of education that they've received in the endocannabinoid system because when some of these guys were in med school, they hadn't even discovered the endocannabinoid system. So there's a lot to talk about tonight. So we're going to unpack some of it. So welcome, Amy Nichols. And how about we just jump right in? How did you get into working with cannabinoids?
Well, it started out with a visit to a functional medicine doctor, and I have various, I don't know, I guess not have, I experienced various symptoms from autoimmune conditions, and one of them is pain. And I'm not, I don't like prescription pain medicines, and I don't like Advil and Tylenol because I have other symptoms when I use them, like stomach pain.
Mm-hmm.
So my doctor suggested I try the CBD oil that he carried in his office. So I purchased it and I took it the way he instructed me, which he didn't really instruct me. And I didn't know anything at this point about how to actually use it myself. So I incidentally or coincidentally, I found out that one of the students that I worked with for math tutoring, because that's my, I don't know, right now the income bringing in
Mm-hmm.
job I have, his mom sold CBD oil.
Nice.
So I reached out to her and we talked, and she told me how to use it and she educated me. And come to find out, that product just didn't work for me at all because it was an oil in oil.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to go through the digestive system.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my symptoms that I experience is digestive issues.
Mm-hmm.
So my digestion is compromised, or was at that point, and so I couldn't absorb or utilize the product.
Mm-hmm.
So she helped me pick out a quality product, and I started using that and experienced pain relief. So that's really where my experience came from. And then, she helped me learn, and then I started learning on my own, and then we ended up working together and with another partner to
Mm-hmm.
start our business.
So your background is in what?
I actually have a degree in food science from Purdue, and I worked as a food scientist for several years after college.
Mm-hmm.
I just was disenchanted with the scientific job. It just wasn't a good fit for my personality. The
Mhm.
actual work I was doing, I loved, but I
Mhm.
didn't like being in a lab and having somebody tell me what to do. And I'm too independent. I'm too independently minded and
Yeah.
self-directed. I just have never responded well to authority, I guess. So, um,
Which makes you the perfect teacher.
yes, I would say probably. So I decided that I was going to be a teacher, and I got a job at a local private school in Indianapolis and took
Mhm.
a few education classes. And then they found out about my math background and asked me to work with a geometry student. And that was 22 years ago.
Mhm.
And then eventually I quit my job there and just started tutoring full time. So
Nice.
I've
Nice.
taught algebra in the classroom at an independent school, private Catholic independent school, tiny, for a couple of years. And
Mhm.
now I also teach a homeschool family math. I'm not in the classroom anymore, but
Right.
a homeschool family
But
and
that food
tutor.
science
Hmm.
background is, I'm sure, coming in handy right now.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's all. There's a lot of chemistry that goes on with the whole, THC, CBD, all the
mhm.
can- cannabis products. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of chemistry background for sure.
Yeah. Well, with that degree. Yeah, I can
Mhm.
see that.
A lot of chemistry.
So, let's just, I like to reiterate a lot of things.
Hmm.
Because you never know when we have a new listener. Um, can you just give us a quick, like anything is simple, um,
Yes.
but just kind of an overview of what the endocannabinoid system is and does?
So the endocannabinoid system, it is all throughout your body, and you have receptors all over your body that receive these biochemical messages from cannabinoids. And there are three different types of cannabinoids that I have found
Mm-hmm.
recently. There are your endocannabinoids, which is what your body produces itself.
Mm-hmm.
There are phytocannabinoids, which come from plants, and then there's synthetic cannabinoids, which are pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so all of those work on the special receptors in your body. The ones that people talk about the most are the CB1 and CB2 receptors. And different cannabinoids react with different receptors. There's also many other receptors in the body, but they're just not as widely researched or
Right.
focused on. There's also, I think it was 140 something last I heard cannabinoids in
Mm-hmm.
cannabis.
Yeah, there's, whew, and the
Which that
terpenes and
was well into the hundreds.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
um,
it's so exciting right now to be able to be part of something that's so new, and that there's so much growth. That's every time you turn around, there's a new study. There's another state legalizing like Illinois or
oh, oh, it's all around us. I
yeah,
mean, it's a prime time to be working in this industry in
mhm,
Indiana right now.
yeah. I just would like for it to be in Indiana too. So that
Oh, I know. It'll take a while. I mean, they just legalized buying alcohol on Sunday here. Uh, 2 years ago. So there's some people in the industry around here that think it's going to be next year, but I don't know. I'd
yeah,
say the next 2 or 3 years at least.
that's good.
But yeah,
Yeah. So
definitely.
let's see. So let's take a look at so we talked about the endocannabinoid system, what it does.
Hmm.
Why is it important for people to have a healthy endocannabinoid system?
Well, there's been research and studies done, and I don't think anything has been definitively proven, but when your endocannabinoid system isn't functioning properly, it could lead to disease.
Hmm.
So when you say disease, it's just an imbalance of your chemicals in your
Hmm.
body. So the cannabinoids can turn on or turn off the receptors in your brain that produce your neurotransmitters.
Mm-hmm.
And your neurotransmitters control, your level of eating, your level of sleeping, your level of relaxation. So some of the cannabinoids interact with receptors and block the production and the release of the neurotransmitters. And the same cannabinoids can react and let things out. So it works as a modulator, and it brings about homeostasis, kind of like the controls in your house. You can turn on the air conditioning, or you can turn on the heat, or you can turn on the climate control.
Mm-hmm.
So you can think about the endocannabinoid system as the climate control of your brain. So, and then it goes through your body because you have the receptors all over your body.
Yeah.
So that's why it could work so well for pain, because you have receptors in your spine, you have receptors in your skin, you have receptors like all along the nervous system and your nerves in your body. So
Yeah, and the great thing is you don't have the side effects that you have with the NSAIDs, and
yeah,
that's
and
a
like
beautiful
I said,
thing.
with ibuprofen, I remember when I hurt my foot many years ago, my doctor was like, "Oh, you can take 600 milligrams of ibuprofen every 8 hours, and it will be fine." And I couldn't even take 600 milligrams at one time without it bothering me.
Yeah,
So I was doing a lot of grin and bearing it at that point. But I
and
knew.
we did have on a past episode one of the nurses talked about the prolonged use of daily NSAIDs, like Aleve or ibuprofen
Mhm.
or whatever, actually has been found um, to cause heart complications. Like if you're
That's
using it over years.
Yeah, and I didn't know
Mm.
that, but
Yeah,
I couldn't even handle it for 600 milligrams for 8 hours.
yeah.
I was having really bad kidney pain and stomach pain from it. So I was clearly putting a stress on my system.
Hmm.
So I just reduced my dose quite a bit and just tried to manage it so I could function with two little kids instead of,
It's
you
really a shame that you didn't have any CBD salve back at the time. Because
I know. And that was,
yeah,
15 years ago. So
yeah. Thank you,
that was,
Prohibition.
you know,
Prohibition made, yeah, because I did break my foot. I think it was 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years
Mhm,
ago, and I
mhm.
didn't take any Tylenol or anything. I just used a CBD salve and a tincture.
Oh, and I bet that was so
It was
nice.
beautiful. It was
Oh,
great.
it's so
So
great to have something like that that's not going to cause a bunch of side effects.
yeah, yeah. Now okay. So what Amy does, and you'll see under her name for the people on YouTube,
Mhm.
is she and her partners have a company called CannaMedU. And what they do, and we're just going to touch on this for a minute here, but then we'll talk about more at the end, is they provide education around cannabis with respect to, or to their clientele as medical professionals, right?
Correct. We just would like to bridge the gap between the patients and the doctors,
Hmm.
because we know there are patients everywhere asking for cannabis products, for even CBD products.
Hmm.
And even here in Indiana, like doctors don't even want to recommend CBD,
Yeah.
which is crazy because, that's really legal because it doesn't even have, I mean, it has very little THC, if
Yeah.
any. So there's no psychoactive effects or anything. Now, I will say that part of their hesitation is based on the lack of regulation in the industry
Hmm.
and there being no safeguards for labeling or checks and balances for that, which I
Hmm.
understand that portion of it. But I think that if they were educated enough, they could, discern on the market what products would be useful
Right.
or
Well,
reliable,
but
you know.
also up until January of this year, it was scheduled.
Mhm.
So that
Exactly.
really put the kibosh on anyone in the medical industry really wanting to jump in and say, "Hey, use this." They have uh it's my dog in the background. So they had that safety net with being able to pass off any blame or responsibility if it was an opioid to the
Hmm.
pharmaceutical company that was presenting it or
Correct.
that was manufacturing it. And I think they rely heavily on pharmaceutical reps for training with different substances. And so, you don't have a cannabis rep walking into your office every week
Right.
saying, "Hey, here's a detailer on how this works, and here's
Right.
dosing and stuff." So,
That is so true. So what we wanted to do was just be education based and
mhm,
product non-specific, even though we have our own products that we prefer,
mhm,
all of us in my business partners and I, which we would be happy to provide recommendations. However, we would rather be product agnostic because
mhm,
there are great products out there, even ones that we don't know about, because the industry is just moving so fast. And every
mhm.
time you turn around, there's a new development or there's a new technology or there's just something novel that has come about. So,
Exactly. Like the nasal sprays, the Nasodols, and the inhalers. You
right.
know,
And
amazing.
even the oral sprays that they
Yeah.
use for Ativex, that's new.
Mhm,
Tinctures have been around for a while, but there's
mhm.
new advancements in tinctures even. You've got liposomal delivery, you've
Ex
got sonicated
Yep.
delivery, you've got water soluble delivery.
Mhm.
You have so many different ways that you can deliver, and that's just oral at that point,
Yeah.
and there's topical.
And, they've got the, cannabis tampons now too, which I have heard are
I
great for cramps.
I hadn't
Yeah.
heard that. Oh my goodness, where did
Yeah.
they do that at? Do you know? I'll have to look.
Okay, so when the FDA, at the end of May, it was May 31st,
Uh
and
huh.
I have a link on CBD Talk Podcast,
Okay.
Facebook page. You can go back and
Uh,
watch the 8 hours of testimony of oral arguments on it. They had, I think it was 114 people speak. So go to the
wow.
last 2 hours of it.
Okay.
And there was a woman and a gentleman. I think they were from
Uh
the
huh.
UK, and they
Okay.
produce those cannabis tampons. And
That's
they were
it's
saying, yeah, it's
novel.
crazy.
A novel product.
Yeah,
Like,
and they were saying that because of the way they make it, it also helps prevent toxic shock syndrome.
well, because
Well,
it's antibacterial and
exactly.
antifungal and all of those other like health preventative measures that's in the natural product.
Yeah, yeah. So there
Hmm.
was a lot of great stuff in there, but and I do like the fact that that if people ask you for a recommendation, you can recommend a few things, but that you are agnostic because that takes you away from the sale. It's like you're not doing this to sell a product, you're doing this to
No.
educate.
Right. And we just want to help the consumers and the doctors. We want the
Yes.
doctors to feel comfortable and know what they're doing. And we want the patients to feel like their doctors know what they're doing. I mean,
Hmm.
when I procured my CBD oil from my physician, he
Hmm.
just handed me a piece of paper and said, take, a full dropper. And I'm like, oh,
So,
and
what
I,
about, how many milligrams per milliliter is it? How,
and there was no real information on the label, like what it was. And, I bought it from my doctor's office. So I felt fairly confident that it was safe. So I wasn't
Mhm.
really worried about that. But just and I was confused being from a food science, I
Mhm.
know about labeling and I know about,
Yeah.
the federal regulations that gives you
Mhm.
definitions for products and
And you want GMP, you know?
right. And you want organic and you want
Mhm.
all of these things organically grown anyway. You
Yes.
want all of these things in your products, but like he wasn't educating me.
Yeah. And he
So
probably didn't know. So,
no, he
yeah.
didn't, I'm sure. So, he was on my list of an invite to our first event in Indianapolis because he needs to know if he's going to be recommending these products, what he's doing.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
mhm.
Exactly. And you're right. We talk a lot about how it's kind of the wild, wild west out here when it
Oh,
comes to there's no regulation, and until the FDA. Yeah, and
mhm.
you know, we've had several discussions on here about how if at least they go with a dietary supplement, it's not going to crush the industry. It's not going to stifle the industry, but it's also going to provide guidelines and requirements and regulations when it comes to labeling and things like that.
There definitely needs to be some structure with that.
Hmm.
I think that we should know as consumers what's in our product and we
Yes.
should comfortable knowing that it's safe.
And
So,
there should be repercussions if the label's wrong. If,
right.
people are
So,
lying to you, there's got to be some repercussions.
right. So there has to be some sort of accountability there.
Yeah.
I'm not calling for really strict accountability, but enough that, it motivates the companies to be good to the consumers or
Mhm.
protects the consumers.
Yeah.
Like
But
that's
if they say there's 1,500 milligrams of cannabinoids in there,
there should be.
and there's none.
Hmm. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a
Because
problem for a lot.
I see the CBD stuff in gas stations,
Right.
and
Exactly.
I'm just like,
Don't
what?
buy it there, people.
Yeah.
Don't buy it there. Reach out to somebody who knows
Mhm.
about the industry.
Yeah.
Reach out.
Yeah. There's always, and yeah, we talk about that a lot about, call the manufacturer, have a conversation with them. You can
Well,
tell.
and ask for certificate of analysis.
Yep.
And reputable companies should have those available on their websites
Mhm.
or available to give to you at a moment's notice.
Yes.
It should be publicly available.
Yeah.
So that's something you definitely should require in a company that you purchase products from.
Yeah. You want a relationship with them.
Hmm.
So you want to be able to know that you can have a conversation.
Right.
It's a good thing. So what are some things, we talked about this just a little bit before we started recording.
Hmm.
Some instances where you don't want to take CBD or a cannabinoid.
Well, I think anybody who's on blood thinners, you need to check with your doctor and you need to be monitored constantly. You may or may not be able to continue on any sort of cannabis product. So what happens is cannabis works on the same modulate. What is it? It's genetic processing, like the way it processes medications,
Mhm.
and so it enhances the efficacy of a lot of medications.
Mhm.
So anytime you're on any medication and you use a cannabis product, you should probably talk with your doctor to make sure that your medication doesn't need to go up or down, but especially people on blood thinners. And also, I feel like people with autoimmune disorders that are diagnosed should really be careful too, because it could flare your symptoms if you go too high.
Mhm.
So you just need to go low and slow, no matter how you try it, and
Yeah.
and talk to your doctor if you're on prescription medication, and make sure that it doesn't need to be adjusted.
And listen to your body.
Yes, yes, you have to pay attention. You have to make sure that it's not, making something go wacky, which, it's it's not it's not going to do anything to kill you unless maybe you're on blood thinners and
Yeah.
and you're not paying attention.
Mhm.
So if you're on blood thinners, just go to your doctor and talk to them.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
And
Because you can get your blood, your whatever that level is, tested
Mhm.
frequently. I know yeah.
Heparin.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, because my dad used to go all the time, and I remember at one point it got really thin, and we were at a restaurant having lunch, and this
Mhm.
nurse called,
Mhm.
and she's like, "You need to come right now," and he's like, "I'm eating lunch. It can wait." And she said, "Don't use a knife." And it's like, oh, geez.
Yeah, you don't want to bleed to death. So
It's like we're 5 minutes away.
yeah.
We'll
Mhm.
be fine. So yeah, but that's the thing is that you can just get tested more regularly, with that.
Yeah.
And also
Mhm.
remember, your body makes cannabinoids. So your
It does.
body knows what to do with cannabinoids.
It does. And so it just, like I said, it enhances things or it turns
Mhm.
things off. That's really what it does. And it does interact with a lot of medications, but usually it just boosts the effect.
Efficacy. Yeah.
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 And recently the study came out where it said that it causes liver damage and all of these things. And I don't know if you'd heard about that study that was released recently, but
No.
um,
Who did
I
it?
I can't remember, but it was in I think it was in Newsweek, or it was
Because I've read studies that are just the opposite as well.
I know. And
Yeah.
so I kind of dug deep into that article, and where it was talking about the adverse side effects
Hmm.
and the people who had negative responses to it, they were just taking too much.
Yeah.
And also, like, the severity of the symptoms was like nausea,
Yeah.
lingering dry mouth. Nothing was
And at that point, that's when you
severe.
listen to your body and you back off. The thing
Yeah,
is that these people weren't able to do that because they were given a certain amount as part of the
mhm.
study. So they,
Now they do part of the mouse study, and some of the mice died, but their doses, I think, were like 200 times the recommended dosage of Sativex. I think they were testing. I think
oh,
it was.
geez.
I don't know if it was Sativex. It was one of the. I
Yeah.
think it was epilepsy drug. I can't remember which one
Yeah.
it was, but
Hmm.
it was grossly high
Yeah.
amounts that people, or they were giving to mice, and the mice died,
Yeah.
which is not good, of course. So that's
No.
supposed to go low and slow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people go low and
Don't
slow.
take the entire bottle in one sitting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And keep it up high. Keep it away from the kids.
Yeah.
Be safe, like you would with any medication.
Hmm. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Hmm.
So what in your experience, I mean, I know that your personal experience, it helped with pain.
Hmm.
Um, what are some of the other ailments that you know of where it has been beneficial to use either CBD or full plant cannabis products?
For sure for Parkinson's, because it works and it stops shaking. And the effect and the duration of it depends on the dosage you take in your individual body. But
Hmm.
Parkinson's patients have experienced a lot of relief from this. Anybody who has muscle spasticity, like multiple sclerosis patients, it
Hmm.
really helps them. Um, Obviously, people who are on chemotherapy, it helps because it moderates their symptoms as well, and it helps them be able to eat because
Yeah.
it's anti-nausea and it's anti-pain, because people on chemo are in a lot of pain because they're trying to get rid of those nasty tumors and
Yeah.
bad growths in their body. So um, it works a lot for them too. I'm trying to think. I mean, pretty much any inflammatory issue, it should
Hmm.
help to reduce your inflammation, as long as you don't react negatively to any of the ingredients in your preferred product.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Like
so-
I was taking one with uh coconut. And I found out I was allergic to coconut.
that's a problem. Yeah, so that'll bother you, but it's not the cannabinoids. It was
Exactly.
the carrier oil or the
Yeah,
carrier.
exactly. The carrier. And
Mhm.
and there and you have to take a look at that with, I know that there are a few different MCT oils that people can use with it,
Mhm.
when they're making it. Um
Mhm.
so it's a good thing to take a look at that.
Yeah, so you'd probably want a water soluble product if
Yeah,
you can.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is when you're talking about the anti-inflammatory
Mhm.
properties,
Yes.
there's been talk um, about different things that inflammation in your body can cause.
Uh-huh.
So using it as a preventative to control inflammation is not a bad thing. I,
No.
I know that you don't have to have pain or a symptom to take CBD, basically.
No, it can be neuroprotective. It can
Hmm.
help you prevent, Alzheimer's and dementia. One of my um, colleagues takes it because she has the dementia gene, and it
Oh.
runs in her family. So she takes it proactively because she wants to prevent dementia.
Hmm.
Now, will it prevent it long term? I don't know. Will it offset the onset, or will it push back the onset? Like, you don't
Hmm.
really know,
Exactly.
but it's like it's not going to hurt because
Yeah.
it's going to help to reduce all of those, or enhance the chemical production in the brain. So it works with the neurotransmitters to
Yeah.
optimize. So,
Exactly. So
mhm,
what? Tell me some of the. So everyone's pretty much heard of CBD and THC.
mhm, mhm.
What are some of the other? Um, Tell us about another cannabinoid and some of the properties of that cannabinoid.
Okay. So one cannabinoid that's been getting a lot of attention lately is CBG, which is I think it's cannabigerol is how you say it.
Yeah, I think
And cannabis,
Gerol or yeah,
cannabis,
some weird thing. Yeah,
something, even
cannabidiol, that's it. It's
all these
weird.
science words, it's hard to know how to say them because
Uh-huh.
they're weird combinations of letters.
Mhm.
So, anyway, so CBG works synergistically with CBD, with
Mhm.
cannabidiol. So CBG and CBD work together quite well, like THC and CBD do.
Mhm.
So CBG has a lot of the same properties that THC does without the psychoactive
Mhm.
ingredients or side effects, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
Um, so CBG works on the same active sites that the same receptors that the THC
So
does.
more of a CB1.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So it's on the CB1 receptors. And so you know that CBD is on the side of those and helps
Mhm.
it turn on and off. So it works and does all the same things that THC does without the
Without any intoxication.
right.
Yeah.
But you have to have a pretty decent level of CBG in your products to make that
Yeah.
happen. And
And
that's CBG is
that's
a rare cannabinoid. So
yeah.
there are some products that have therapeutic levels in them,
Mhm.
but but they're
Yeah.
fine.
And let's face it, over the last however many decades since prohibition
Mhm.
started, people really were just breeding up the THC because we didn't know the science of the plant. And
Right, and they bred down the contents of the other cannabinoids. So
mhm,
it's about, letting nature get back to the way it is supposed
exactly,
to be.
more
Mhm.
of a one-to-one kind of thing with the different major and minor cannabinoids. But so
Yes.
I noticed that one of the things um, that I saw on CannaMedu's Facebook page.
Mhm.
Um, so, well, first of all, um, they're going to be doing some presentations in Indianapolis and Illinois, and we'll
Yes.
we'll talk about that. And that's where I saw this. It said on there, it talked about how the whole prohibition started. Um,
Right.
all well, like almost 80 years ago or whatever it was.
Correct.
Can you talk a little to that?
I can. I can't remember a ton of details on it. I should have reviewed it a little before our talk, but I think that it was all of the magnates that were coming up.
Hmm.
It was like I can't even remember. It was like the newspaper people and
Yeah, the paper people.
Carnegies, the
Hmm.
Carnegies, and somebody else. Who
Something
was
with I think it was gasoline, trees because making paper,
right,
and
and
then
then also
cotton.
and plastic
Yeah,
because they had invented plastic and they didn't want hemp to be used because it can be used as a lot of in fabrics.
yeah.
Synthetic fabrics. That's what it was.
Hmm.
Synthetic fabrics like nylon and rayon.
Hmm.
And they didn't want hemp to take it over because hemp would be cheaper because they had more of it.
And
So
because it grows so quickly.
right,
Yeah,
right, and it's actually better for the environment. I
it's
mean,
a
we know
yeah, it
now, but it makes
remediates the soil.
right,
Hmm.
right, and so an artificial thing. It's chemically induced and produces all kinds of nasty things for the environment.
Hmm.
So they just wanted to make a buck. I don't know if
Yeah,
it was Rockefeller too. I can't remember, but it was all of
it
those kinds
was
of
it
people.
was the ultimate one percenters. It was like the point
Right,
zero zero one percenters who
right, and so
decided,
they
ah,
worked.
we need more money.
They worked with the government to get it outlawed, and
Hmm.
they also part of it was um, so they say was because people were bringing it in from Mexico and they were using it, and probably the Native Americans too,
Hmm.
and they were
Oh yeah.
using it and abusing it and teaching the white men how to do it, just the
Hmm.
general like, oh, you're abusing it, so we're getting rid of it. But
Hmm.
that was like the cover up for the real reason why they were getting rid of
Which
it.
is it's all about the Benjamins. Yeah,
Business, right?
yeah.
Which is exactly the same thing that's happening now.
Exactly. That's the thing. Nothing has changed when it comes to
Right. No,
that. It's the only thing that's changed is the voices of the people that it's helping.
right.
People have gotten to the point where it's like, I just don't really care. You know, it
Hmm.
I'm going to do what's right for me, which is exactly what people should be able to do in their own
Living
homes
in
and
a free
such.
country.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you get a bunch of pissed off moms that
Oh,
are being told that they can't treat their child with something that's natural without side effects that's actually helping them.
right.
That is the ultimate no-no. You just
Hmm.
don't piss off a mom when what's when you're trying to say something that's helping their child is illegal. No.
Well, again, and I can't believe I forgot a really big, huge condition that cannabis and CBD and
Hmm.
THC and CBG and all these cannabinoids help is epilepsy.
Exactly.
It stops
Exactly.
seizures. It's anti-epileptic. I don't know,
Hmm.
anti-seizure medication. It
Yeah.
works better than anything.
Yeah.
In fact,
And
the
not
only
not for every instance. So let's clarify
no,
that. But
no,
a
herbs patients
large,
who
yeah.
don't respond to traditional medication,
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
it controls their seizures.
Hmm.
So it's just shocking to me that it's not an option for a lot of people. And then Epidiolex, which is a developed drug by
Hmm.
big pharma for anti-seizure medications, is thousands of dollars a month. I can't
Yeah.
even remember how much it is, but it's
It's
ridiculous.
absurd. It is
Yeah, it's not
absurd.
obscene amount,
And
which is another reason that they haven't legalized this all over, is because big pharma wants a piece of it. And
yeah,
I understand that because it's business, but
but you
let's
you can't have a monopoly on a plant. I'm sorry. Well, I guess you
no.
possibly
Well,
can, but
you can isolate one compound and try to make that, like,
yeah,
but the whole plant works synergistically, so it's
exactly.
not going to work as well.
Exactly. And so we had David Dawson, who's a scientist, on several episodes again, and he explained the whole, and he's actually in the process of doing a study right now on
Hmm.
synthetic cannabinoids.
Oh,
And
okay.
here's the thing about that he explained to me about synthetic cannabinoids is
Hmm.
he compared a synthetic cannabinoid to a phytocannabinoid
Uh-huh.
as a plastic apple to a real apple. Your body
Okay.
knows how to eat and digest a real apple. You try to eat a plastic apple and your body doesn't know how to process that. He explained how it's turning on or off whichever in a certain instance the receptors, but
Right.
then the body can't break it down to turn it back on or to flip the switch the other way. And so
Well,
it's getting stuck.
it's chemistry for you.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got an extra bond that there isn't an enzyme to break. I
exactly.
So that's what happens. I mean, your body has to have the components to process it. And, that's what I was talking about, people with autoimmune diseases.
Hmm.
So it may or may not help you if you have an autoimmune disease. It depends what your symptoms are. It
Hmm.
depends because your body may already be compromised and missing something that's the root cause of what's going on with you anyway.
Yeah,
So, you may need to try different products. You may need to try different formulations. You
and
may need
different
to
methods.
yeah, delivery methods.
Yeah,
There's all kinds of considerations that
one of
go
the
into
things
that.
that uh, I have witnessed from different people that have used it, is specifically in autoimmune
Hmm.
instances with rheumatoid arthritis, is using it, and it just makes so much sense also, um, like in bath salts, because
Oh,
by soaking in
yes.
it, you've got all those CB2 receptors in your skin, and it's a just a more temperate way to bring that CBD into your system, and then
Without having to do anything to do it absorb. So
yeah,
you have no energy put into the process there because
exactly.
digestion takes energy. Your liver processing things takes energy.
Mhm.
Yeah, so a soak is really good. There's
Yeah,
lots of good stuff to put in a bath soak.
yeah,
Lots
they're
of stuff.
really, yeah,
Hmm.
just the um different herbs and things like that, to help
Hmm.
with
Oh yeah, I was
absorption.
thinking Epsom salts
Hmm.
and
Yeah, that's what the
vitamin
one
C.
that they were
Yeah.
using was a combination with Epsom salts, and
Mm, I
it's
can
just
see that because it relaxes you too, which
mhm.
you have a lot of body tension when you've got pain. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can see that.
Now, of course, there are people who, um, because of their pain, they actually can't get into a bathtub. So I understand that as well.
Oh yeah, foot
Yeah,
soak. You could do a
yeah,
foot soak.
that's right.
That
That's right.
too. Hmm.
Yeah, and then like also with autism, And, with a child, sometimes, especially an autistic child, depending on where they are in the spectrum, not
Hmm.
always easy to get them to take a tincture
No.
or even a gummy at that point. You never know. But
Probably like a lotion might really help for
mhm,
something like that too, or even an edible. Like that
yes,
might really
yeah,
be good for an autistic child.
yeah. So it try different things.
Hmm. There are lots of different things out there. I recently connected with a woman in Ohio who has an edible company where she teaches people, like we're planning to teach doctors. She teaches people like us to make edible cannabis products, which
That's
I think is
beautiful.
really neat.
Yeah.
Really neat.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's so special about the cannabis community is people really do want to help other people. Um, you know,
Hmm.
it's it's not as much here buy my product as here's the education. I don't care what product you buy, just buy it. Just get something,
Just
just try
anything
it.
is better than nothing if you need help
Yeah.
and you want to do something natural,
And if one product doesn't work, try another or try a different method because you don't, eh,
And
like you said,
reach
oil
out
and oil.
to me, reach out to somebody like you who can give you good, solid information about some quality products. So,
Yeah, well, that's why I bring great people on the show and that care about education and helping people
hmm,
and that's what you guys are there
yeah,
for.
and we're really
Is
excited about it too.
yeah, is to help people.
It should be really neat. It should be a really neat experience. We've got some great guest speakers that we're bringing in too. So,
So give us the
um,
dates and locations for your.
So on July 20th,
Hmm.
we are going to have an event in Chicago, and
Hmm.
I will look and see exactly where it is because I didn't make that reservation. So I'll be honest with you, that wasn't my responsibility. It's at Mix and Mingle in McHenry, Illinois,
Hmm.
and it's Saturday, July 20th at 3:30 p.m.
Hmm.
And then we are going to have a guest speaker, Luba Andrews, who is a medical cannabis patient advocate, and she's a registered pharmacist. So she'll
Nice.
have a lot of great information to share.
Yeah.
And then in Indianapolis, it's going to be at Rockstone Pizza Pub in Fishers. There's a big room in the back,
Hmm.
where they have a screen, and it's like, and there'll be food there. It'll be really good.
So what's the
And
cost for these?
it's $250.
Hmm.
And
Would
there's
you?
only 50 seats per event,
Hmm.
so it's limited seating. This is sort of our test market launch, so it should be really exciting. And it's for about 3 hours of
Hmm.
education. So we'll have 2 hours or so of education, then an hour Q&A over
So
lunch or
will
dinner.
they get CEUs for this?
You know what? We're working on getting
Oh, good.
CEUs.
Hmm.
Luba, I'm pretty sure can give CEUs because she is a registered pharmacist, and I
Hmm.
think she's with Illinois to get those.
Hmm.
In Indiana, it's a little trickier because things aren't legal here, so
Yeah.
I'm unsure of the status on that right now.
Hmm. But
I
it's
know we
something you're working towards.
yeah, I know we can give CEUs for other states, but I
Hmm.
don't know about Indiana because I'm really, it's very ambiguous and unclear right now for
Yeah.
that. Just in the state in general, because all the states around us, except for Kentucky, medical cannabis is legal now.
I know
So
Tennessee is not, which is
yeah,
south of Kentucky.
right.
But my sister was able to get her nursing CEUs in cannabis
Uh
in the
huh.
state of Tennessee, even though
Okay.
Tennessee is not a legal state.
Okay. Well,
So
that's something
it's
we're working
possible.
on. We have a guest speaker as well for that event. But I don't know if I'm supposed to say her name yet, so
That's okay. It's okay.
I won't share that right now, just
It's
because
a
I don't know if it's
surprise. You
public.
guys just have to go and find out.
Yeah, I don't know if it's public yet, so
Yeah.
I
But
yeah, I know. Yeah.
But this is a great opportunity for any medical professionals in the area or who might want to go visit those areas to start educating themselves on the benefits and
And
uses
the
of
thing is,
cannabis.
what we're going to be doing is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, you could spend 2 hours on every subject we're going
Yeah.
to talk about. So, I mean, it's just it's a very complex thing. So,
Yeah,
but simple at the same time.
that's very cool. So,
Hmm.
we talked a little bit about low and slow,
Hmm.
listening to your body,
Hmm.
and some of the things that you could experience if you are pushing it, if you are going too high, would be like anxiety.
Right. And
Hmm.
that's if you have too much THC.
Hmm.
That would be anxiety inducing. If you have a product that has a wide spectrum that's balanced of cannabinoids and terpenes, you shouldn't experience anything like that unless your dose goes too high.
Yeah, and
Because
that's what I'm saying. If an indication of a dose being too high. So,
right, so basically any symptom you're trying to medicate, if it was gone and then it comes back, you
hmm
went too high because it
the
basically,
biphasic effect.
yeah, it has
Yeah.
a rebound effect. So
Hmm.
it'll turn everything back on if you take too much. So
Hmm.
that's where you have to just pay attention to your body.
Keep
That's
a
the low
journal,
and
write
slow.
it down.
Right. You just track what you do every day and make sure that you follow the pattern. And yeah, that's
And another
that's the
thing
big
to,
thing.
if you've been taking it for a while,
Hmm.
and like you've been taking it for a month or something like that, and you're like, gee, I just don't know if it's working. Stop taking it for a couple days. You'll find
Or
out really
take,
quickly.
or reduce your dose in half and see
Yeah.
what happens.
Well, I've
You don't
had
want to stop
people who've said, yeah, I just don't think this is working for me. I'm like, okay, well, if it's not working for you, I understand it doesn't work for everybody. So
until.
yeah, go ahead and stop taking it. And then a couple days later, can I get some more, please? It was working. My
Exactly,
symptoms have
exactly.
come back. I just forgot what they were. And, my knee is killing me. I can't walk up the stairs. I forgot that I had knee pain. And it's like, yeah, it's
Hmm.
sometimes that way.
It's one we get desensitized to our own aches and pains so
Hmm.
much so that when they go away, we don't realize they were there in the first place.
Exactly.
So
Which is a good thing, because you don't want to remember that too much. But so yeah, I can't even tell you how many times I've heard of that happening, and it just
well,
makes me
and
laugh.
yeah, and another thing is, I feel like that the endocannabinoid system, because you're supplementing it with a natural product,
Hmm.
it can give your body an opportunity to try to heal itself.
Yes.
Possible that over time your dosage will lower anyway.
Yes.
So it's a good thing every once in a while to take less than normal and see if
Hmm.
it still works, because you
Yes.
could get by with less,
Yeah.
and it's not addictive. So it's not like
Hmm.
your body's going to go through withdrawal if you don't take enough. You
Hmm.
just might experience a little bit of your symptoms that you were trying to get rid of. And then you would just titrate up just a little bit until your pain goes away or whatever symptom
Right.
you're trying to treat.
Yeah, because I had taken it when I started. The way I did it, and which is just me,
Hmm.
because I'm not on blood thinners or anything
Hmm.
else, so I didn't have to worry about it.
Hmm.
Is I took it until at the beginning, and I went more for a bolus effect,
Hmm.
to
Okay.
just like slap it across the face
Yeah.
and say, hey, wake up ECS, wake up
Yeah.
endocannabinoid system.
Hmm.
So at the beginning, I was taking it like 5 times a day for the first couple
Okay.
days.
Were you doing a tincture?
Yeah, actually, it
Okay.
was a nano.
Oh, okay,
So
good.
I mean, but I have nail patella syndrome, so
Hmm.
there's a lot of stuff that needed help in my
Hmm.
body. um, and then I wouldn't, and the reason I took it that often is because the symptoms would come back, and so I'd take some more,
Well,
and
I mean,
then
I think probably good.
yeah, and so that's how
Start to
I.
start.
But I was listening to my body.
Hmm.
But after a couple days, then I was down to like 3 times a day, and then a couple days later, I was down to once a day. So
So you
my
turning it on, and it was starting to work. That's good.
exactly. So my endocannabinoid system was taking one heck of a nap.
Hmm.
And so for me, that's what worked for me. But listening to your body is the most important thing that you can do for yourself when you're working with cannabinoids. And also talking to educated people like Amy and her group, and several of the other manufacturers that we've had on, or scientists and nurses,
Hmm.
everything. There are so many educated people out there. Use the resources.
Yeah, and it's sort of an underground thing too,
Hmm.
because I will tell you, until my doctor recommended it for me and I tried it, I had absolutely no knowledge. And I'll be honest with you, that was in December of last year,
Hmm.
2017. So it hasn't, or 2018, it hasn't really been that long that I've been educating myself and learning and figuring
But
out
you also
how.
have a science background.
True, true.
So,
So it kind of like I hit the ground running because I already knew a lot of things,
yeah.
and things made sense to me because I had been researching, my symptoms and how to treat them naturally for
Hmm.
many years. It was just something that I hadn't ever come across
Hmm.
at that point. So I feel like I've opened the door to some alternate dimension, sort of,
Yeah.
and and I'm learning a lot of things that I never knew that I would learn.
And it's
So
exciting.
it is. It is. There's a lot of advances and a lot of really cool things going on right now in the industry. So,
Yeah.
um,
When I started researching it just years and years and years, like 10 years ago, there CBD wasn't a thing.
oh, I know. I
Yeah,
know. Totally was not. I mean, it was either you were a pothead or nothing. Like there wasn't
exactly.
in between.
And
There was,
and so my cannabis doctor at the time was Dr. Alan Shackleford, and he was the one that Sanjay Gupta interviewed on his first weed program.
oh,
And so
cool.
he does a lot of research in Israel and stuff. We're
Hmm.
just fortunate in Colorado to have him here. Um,
Hmm.
and when he told me to use cannabis for my asthma, I was like, no, that makes no sense at all.
It's
That
contraindicative, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's stupid. And he
Hmm.
said, well, don't smoke a joint. He said you need to use a vaporizer because you don't want that carcinogen effect, because your lungs are already compromised.
Hmm.
And I was like, you're crazy. And so,
Hmm.
but and actually I didn't. I didn't. I had everything so that I could get my license and everything. I was like,
Hmm.
but then I was also in banking
Uh-huh.
and testing. Would
Yeah,
have to
you didn't have to
drug
fail that
test.
test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I ended up not doing it. And then,
Mhm.
years later, I start using CBD. And
Mhm.
when when I started using it the first time with the high dosing and going
Mhm.
down, what the funniest thing is that for that whole week, I didn't take my inhaler once, and I was on very strong Advair. And
That's awesome.
yeah, but it didn't even enter my mind to take an inhaler. And like a week later, I was like, holy shit, I haven't taken my inhaler. What is happening?
That's
And it's like,
awesome.
yeah, it's like, oh, Dr. Shackelford was right. Of course he was.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny when you get a pioneer like that.
Hmm.
So
I was
you're
like,
so
no,
you
no.
had knowledge before anybody,
Yeah.
really.
And it just goes to show you, uh, allow yourself to be wrong.
Hmm.
So if you're
None of
one,
us know everything, that's for sure. I mean, you're never the only one who knows everything. Like,
exactly.
there's always somebody who knows more than you.
Thank
So,
God.
yeah, you have to keep watching those people and learning. I mean, uh, my partners and I are continuously watching videos from
Hmm.
leading researchers online. We're reading medical studies. We're,
Hmm.
doing other training courses. We're following developments in the industry. We're always
Yeah.
looking for more information.
And
So,
PubMed at the NIH, National Institute of Health,
mhm.
PubMed, man, that's a great resource.
There is so much information on there. And
Hmm.
the nice thing about being online and doing things on an iPad or a computer now is you
Hmm.
can double click if there's a word you don't know what it means, and it'll pull up the dictionary and you can read what it means. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'll advise everybody, if you're on there doing a search and you don't know what a word is, just double click on it and figure it out,
Yeah.
because that's how you learn. And
Exactly.
education is important, and you have to educate yourself if you want to try these products and use them, so you can
Hmm.
be safe and relieve your symptoms, hopefully.
Yeah. But you do have an advantage with your background. So
Hmm.
that that's a
Yeah,
that's
I
a
just
big
don't
thing.
want people to be afraid to go on PubMed and do their own
Right.
research.
No, definitely. But if you have a question about something that you're reading, find someone like Amy that you can ask and, and go take classes like Amy did and stuff. It really
Mhm.
is great to be able to have resources, to be able to go to seminars and trainings and even
Mhm.
online webinars where you can ask the questions. Where you can say,
Yeah.
I just don't know that I understand what anandamide does. You know,
Right.
uh,
Right.
because some of it, but being able to put it into you know, uh, layman's terms is what gifted teachers do.
Yeah, and that's I think going to be one of the interesting things about what we do is because part of what I do is teach, and that's what I've been doing for
Hmm.
20 years.
Yeah.
So I know we're going to be talking to doctors and physical therapists and massage therapists and all
People in the
people
medical
who,
field. Hmm.
right, who touch people who have symptoms and problems who could help people. Um, I can still break it down into terms that regular people could understand too.
And that's great because you can tell them at their level, but
Hmm.
then you can also give them the tools to be able to tell people who are not medical professionals the same thing, just in a different, in a way that lay people can understand.
What's worse than going to a doctor when you don't understand every word he's saying? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
that's
hate being
really
talked down
hard.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really difficult, especially, if you're someone who really doesn't have a lot of science knowledge. It's
Hmm.
it's, I've even had a doctor in the past that was way over my head. And
Hmm.
and it was I just couldn't imagine. I took my mom there once and she's like, I did not understand anything. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I'll break it down for you. But
Yeah.
half of it was over my head too.
Yeah.
So, I had to get the book. I downloaded the book that he was referring to and I had to read it and I had to learn it. And then it all made sense to me. But
Hmm.
it was some work. It was some
Yeah.
work for me. And so, um, it's, yeah, you
It
just,
can be frustrating,
yeah, you
but
don't know, don't know.
exactly. But there are resources out there
Mm-hmm.
to help,
Of
and
course.
and it's worth looking into. It's worth doing your research.
Yeah.
So if you had one final thing that you want people to know about cannabinoids and their health, what is your big takeaway?
Your body naturally produces endocannabinoids and phytocannabinoids, which come from plants, which is cannabis or CBD or any of the products we've been talking about today, can help your body regulate your endocannabinoid system and hopefully help your body move towards ideal health,
Perfect.
whatever that is for you.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Amy.
Yeah.
And you can find CannaMedU, CANNAMEDU, on
Mhm.
Facebook
Yeah.
because their website is under development.
It is. We're so new. We're just working all those kinks out. It's almost ready. I know it is. It's
Yeah.
almost ready.
And so there's links to on their Facebook page to the two events that they're having in July, July 25th,
Hmm.
July 27th. So if
Yes.
you're in the Chicago or Indianapolis area around those
Hmm.
times, can look them up
Yeah.
and go learn something. It's definitely worth your time.
Yes. Thank you so much. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll have you on again down
Yeah,
the
that was
road with
fun.
some different, helping us to decipher some different studies and things like that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Great. Okay, everybody, thanks so much, and remember, we'll see you in the next episode. And stay happy and stay healthy.
Bye bye.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.